You're overreacting. I only hooked up with your boss in his car twice. That's what Sarah told me, like she was explaining a parking ticket, like it barely counted. The day had barely begun. Suit pressed, cuffs aligned. My reflection stared. Back with zero expression, charcoal wool, mirror-shined shoes, not a hair out of place, no music on the drive. Just the soft whir of tires and the dead weight of routine. She sat at the island, face lit by her phone, thumb scrolling like I didn't. Exist, no eye contact. No kiss, just a comment in passing. Investor thing today, yeah? Yeah, knock it out. My sister's dinner's still on. I might be late, don't wait. The tone was neutral, polished, practiced. I walked out without replying. Halfway. To the office, I realized I'd left my charger. Called her straight to voicemail, called again, nothing. Something. Felt wrong. But I couldn't name it yet. Lunch break. I circled back home. House was silent. Her phone, plugged in on the counter, blinked with a single notification. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. That was the last time. Didn't mean anything. Just don't tell him. The reply, you never said no. I didn't need names, didn't need timestamps. The context burned through every syllable. The rest of the day passed in grayscale. Daniel, my direct superior, friend of 5 years, walked past my office laughing. He'd driven that sleek silver coupe, same one I'd noticed parked next to Sarah's on Monday. I'd waved, like a fool. That night, I lay beside her, awake. She slept, facing the wall, as if distance could shield her. I used to think she was tired, worn down. Now I understood she was somewhere else. It didn't mean anything. That's the anthem of people who want forgiveness without accountability. But betrayal isn't about meaning. It's about choice. The next morning, I dressed in silence. She was still under the covers, safe, untouched by consequence. I left without saying a word. At the office, everything looked the same. Desks, deadlines, forced cheer. But I wasn't in it. I was watching from behind glass. In the break room at 10:12, Daniel appeared at my side. Late night? Not really. You missed a hell of a show. Gary thinks the IDA is some sort of savior. He laughed. I nodded, still. Then came the casual. Dagger, tell Sarah I still dream about that lemon tart of hers. Pure magic. My throat dried. She's got the recipe somewhere. Dead calm. He chuckled, gave my shoulder a pat and strolled off, like nothing he touched ever turned to ash. Back at my desk, I didn't open my inbox. I opened archived invoices, old vendor accounts. Something didn't add up. A double entry. Padded figure. Quiet theft. Buried in layers of trust. Daniel's signature on every line. Outside, leaves spiraled like dying birds. I sat in the driver's seat through lunch, phone in hand, didn't call, didn't move. When I finally did call, it rang once, then her voice rehearsed. Hey, can't pick up right now, leave something. I didn't. Some silences are earned. I stayed in the car a while longer, watching shadows stretch, breathing in the weight of restraint. That evening, I didn't go straight home. Instead, I unlocked the fireproof drawer in my office, took out the envelope, the one I'd labeled in case. I'd written it off as paranoia once, now it felt like prophecy, and this wasn't revenge. It was clarity, and clarity cuts clean. A business card, scribbled note, Ethan Taylor, ex-IT security, 3 p.m. Denny's, Peachtree. Michael stared at it like it was radioactive. Ethan? The guy they downsized last year for digging where he shouldn't have. By 2:50 p.m., Michael ghosted out of M3 headquarters, briefcase tight in hand. The elevator felt like it was dragging time down with it. Denny's was limping through its afternoon lull. Ethan sat in the farthest booth, hunched over a beat-up laptop. His old M3 Polo hung on him like a memory. He looked up, eyes sharper than before. You showed, he said, tone clipped. Michael slid into the booth, quiet. You bring it? Michael nodded, slipped a flash drive across the table like it was contraband. Ethan didn't touch it at first. What's on here? Michael exhaled. Phantom vendors, shadow payments, hidden transfers. One loop leads straight into my house. Ethan's face tensed. How close are we talking? Michael's jaw tightened. My wife. A beat of silence. Heavy as lead, you're in deep, Ethan said, voice low. If Daniel catches wind, I'm aware. Ethan wrote something down on a napkin. login strings, bypass routes. I'll work through the audit trail, just don't draw attention. Michael rose. You'll have everything soon. That night, Michael didn't go home. He parked across from the office, headlights off, watching the tower like it was breathing. He dialed a secure line. Agent Parker. Michael Harris, I need someone from internal investigations. Discreet. Click. Rain misted the windshield. Sarah would be asleep by now. Daniel would be celebrating. Michael wasn't angry anymore. He was certain. Dawn. The building was still asleep. When he entered, Michael headed straight for the isolated terminal. No hesitation, he plugged in Ethan's credentials. The screen flickered. Access granted. Transaction after transaction scrolled past. Coded clean, worded neat. Consulting. Equipment. But Michael knew what he was seeing. Theft dressed in corporate jargon. One shell company stood out, then one Gainesville Holdings, Masked Harris Personal Services, owned by Daniel's dated cousin. Just before Sarah's birthday. Time logged in the executive garage, Daniel's car. He closed the laptop. Slow, controlled. Rage wouldn't help. 4 p.m. The house. Sarah. Stood by the window, arms folded, eyes unfocused. How was the office? She asked. Michael unbuttoned his cufflinks. Same as ever. I've been thinking, she said carefully. He said nothing. You're not really here anymore. Not with me. Been tired? No. It's something else. She stepped closer. It happened twice. Daniel made me feel noticed. I didn't plan it. She waited. He said nothing. I still love you, she whispered. I want to fix this. Michael looked at her. Eyes empty. I gave you everything, he said. She reached for him. Michael! No. She sank onto the sofa, breath shuddering. He didn't flinch, just picked up his coat and walked out the door. Monday, 9:02 a.m. He slipped a thick envelope into the Atlanta Chronicle Dropbox. No name, just truth. Inside, spreadsheets, wire logs, transaction keys, a blueprint of M3's rot. By noon, M3 under federal lens. Leaked files reveal massive fraud scheme. The office cracked like ice. Phone lines jammed, heads turned, screens froze. Daniel appeared on every floor-wide monitor. These claims are false. There's a saboteur among us. The boardroom doors flung open. Daniel stormed in like a man. Hunting betrayal. Someone here leaked sensitive data, he growled. And when I find out who... Michael didn't blink, he just watched. Aftershock. The air shifted. Paranoia settled like dust. Doors slammed. Conversations died mid-sentence. Executives went silent. But Michael, he kept typing. Composed. Invisible. Because this wasn't revenge. This was justice. Surgical, inevitable. He was deep into reviewing a financial model when a gentle knock echoed softly at his door. Glancing up, he saw Daniel's assistant standing there, pale and visibly anxious, whispering, Mr. Malone will see you now. The words hit him like a verdict passed down. Michael stood up, smoothing his jacket with steady hands. His heartbeat kept a calm, even rhythm, each beat marking the countdown to his reckoning. Daniel's office felt colder than the rest of the building. The windows were tightly sealed against the biting wind outside. The blinds were drawn halfway, their slats angled just right to cut the sunlight glare, yet still let in the faint buzz of the city, a constant reminder of the world beyond these walls. Behind his desk, Daniel stood, arms crossed, his gaze locked. Onto Michael. Have a seat, Daniel said, his voice smooth but carrying a hard edge. Michael lowered himself into the leather chair, spine straight. He studied Daniel closely, the set jaw, the slight crease between his brows, the intense stare. The usual charming facade was gone, replaced by something sharper, fragile like glass about to break. Daniel slowly circled the desk, each step deliberate. Explain something to me, he said, tapping his fingers in a steady rhythm on the desktop. How did confidential audit logs get leaked to the Chronicle? Michael met Daniel's eyes evenly. I'm not sure what you mean. Daniel's lips curled, not into a smile, but a colder expression. Don't lie to me. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been very busy and very generous with your leaks. Michael's mind raced, but he kept his composure. "I'm a financial analyst," he said calmly. "I build models, I don't talk to reporters." Daniel paused, considering him. "You expect me to believe that? That you'd just stand by, while someone tears this company apart?" Leaning forward, fingertips resting on his knees, Michael answered, "I expect you to believe what you know about me. I've been loyal for 8 years. "Loyalty," Daniel repeated, letting the word hang between them. "You talk about loyalty, yet here we are, assets frozen, subpoenas issued, investors panicking." "I understand the seriousness," Michael said quietly, "but loyalty doesn't mean ignoring wrongdoing." Daniel's eyes narrowed as he stepped closer, close enough that Michael could see the fine lines near his eyes. "Wrongdoing? You mean the numbers you twisted, the facts you buried in sensational headlines?" Michael's tone was calm, but firm. "I only revealed what was already there. The truth isn't sensational, it's necessary." Daniel's jaw clenched tight. For a moment he said nothing. Michael could almost see the calculations behind his composed exterior. Then Daniel leaned forward, palms flat on the desk. "If it wasn't you, then who?" he asked. "Because I will find them," Michael interrupted, voice low but resolute. "I'm not your scapegoat. I did what I had to." Daniel's chest rose in a shallow breath. Without another word, he rose and walked to the window, turning his back on Michael. Outside, the city stretched, unaware of the storm raging inside this tower. After a long silence, Daniel spoke softly. "Everyone has a breaking point, Michael. You reached yours. Don't mistake my patience for weakness." Michael stood, meeting Daniel's reflection in the glass. "And don't mistake loyalty for silence." For a brief second, something like respect or challenge passed between them. Then Daniel nodded once. "We'll see who holds out longest, Mike." Michael returned the nod sharply, turned, and left. The door clicked shut behind him. In the corridor, the building's hum felt distant, as if he'd entered his own chamber of echoes. The first confrontation was over. The masks had slipped, revealing faces neither would soon forget. And now the true battle was just beginning. The next morning, Michael arrived at his desk to find a bright red subpoena, stamped and waiting on top of his keyboard. The seal of the SEC gleamed in authoritative blue. The judge's signature caught. His eye, Agent Parker, the same voice from his late-night call. He leaned back, absorbing the weight of what it meant. This was no longer just a news story. It was a federal investigation. Daniel's empire, the gleaming towers and trophy projects, was fracturing. The office buzzed with whispered speculation as Daniel strode through, briefcase in hand, posture rigid yet controlled. He offered only curt nods before disappearing behind closed doors. The atmosphere shifted, electric with tension. Michael opened the subpoena and scanned the exhaustive list. Vendor contracts, internal emails, expense reports, wire transfers. He would have to collect every piece of evidence he'd uncovered, plus more. His phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. "Found it. Gainesville Holdings registered to Monsieur Malone, cousin's address." Michael's pulse quickened. Gainesville Holdings, the shell corporation funneling phantom invoices and channeling illicit funds. The keystone of the entire scheme, and now a real name to tie to it. He slipped into an empty conference room and dialed Agent Parker. Seconds later, the line clicked. "Agent Parker," Michael began. "I have more on Gainesville Holdings." A pause. "Go on." Michael detailed the registration, corporate filings, and the cousin Martin Malone, a distant relative of Daniel who'd never set foot in Atlanta but owned a consulting firm billing hundreds of thousands. "I'll verify," Parker said. "Be ready to testify." Michael hung up, staring at his own reflection on the glass wall. Exhaling, a mix of relief and dread swept over him. He was deeper in than ever, and there was no turning back. Later, Michael met Ethan in an empty boardroom. Ethan slid printed spreadsheets across the table. "Look at these," he said. Michael scanned the data. Payment dates, amounts. Monthly. "Payments always on the 15th, Ethan explained. "Timing to dodge quarterly audits." The last cleared 2 days before the Chronicle article dropped, Michael noted. The pattern's undeniable. A quiet siphon, making Daniel's cousin inexplicably rich. Michael tapped a line on the paper. June 15th last year, Sarah's birthday. Ethan nodded. That's the one labeled personal services. They hid it in routine vendor payments. Michael studied the spreadsheets, each number a whisper. Of betrayal, the faith of investors, the loyalty of employees, the sanctity of his marriage all corroded. He stacked the papers carefully. This is everything Parker needs. We have to get this to him tonight. That evening, Michael sat alone in his car, engine idling outside the SEC's regional office. The sky deepened to indigo, streetlights casting a soft glow on the marble facade. He carried his briefcase, the same one he'd once used to present polished forecasts to Daniel, now a weapon. Inside, Agent Parker reviewed the evidence under harsh fluorescent lights. He looked up and nodded. "This is solid," he said. "We'll serve the subpoena on Malone personally. Expect a hearing next week." Michael exhaled, tension loosening for the first time in days. The wheels of justice were in motion. Stepping outside, he pictured Daniel in his glass tower, convinced of his invincibility. The investigation would peel away that glossy surface to reveal the rotten structure beneath. The house Daniel built was crumbling, and Michael, standing in the cool night, allowed himself a grim satisfaction. The quiet dismantling had begun. Morning was crisp and brittle when Michael got home. The sky was a flat sheet of grey. He left his briefcase, heavy with subpoenas and evidence, by the door and entered the living room. Sarah waited there, tentative, as if afraid to bridge the widening gap between them. She stood as he entered, fingers nervously twisting the hem of her sweater. "Michael," she whispered, voice trembling, "I've been thinking—" He said nothing, settling onto the sofa's edge and watching her carefully take a step closer. "I know what you did," she said quietly, eyes downcast. "I saw the notice today. The divorce papers. You filed them." Michael's gaze held firm. He nodded once. "I filed when I realized forgiveness wouldn't undo what happened." Sarah's lip trembled. "I'm sorry. I regret it every day. Please, let's start over. I'll do anything." Michael exhaled slowly, the weight of endless preparation, secret meetings with Ethan, and midnight calls to Parker settling like armor. He pulled out his phone, unlocking it deliberately. He opened a hidden folder filled with incriminating texts, time-stamped, proof of her betrayals. "I've already made my choice," he said evenly. He tapped the screen and forwarded the folder to his attorney's secure line, copying the company's legal department. "Everything you told me goes where it belongs." Sarah's eyes filled with tears as she watched the screen, hands flying to her mouth. "Michael, please." He stood, smoothing his shirt's front. "There's no undoing this. I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting what remains of my life." He stepped toward the door. "I'll have someone collect your things." She stumbled back onto the sofa, grief folding the room like dusk. He paused at the threshold, glancing once more at her broken face. "Goodbye, Sarah." The door closed softly behind him. In the quiet that followed, the house felt emptier than ever. His choice was final. Outside, the wind rustled fallen leaves, reminding him that once a decision takes root, there's no turning back to spring. Bye. Mid-morning, the outside world felt distant. Michael sat in a small conference room at the law firm, surrounded by his counsel. The papers spread before them, contracts, audits, witness statements. The legal team mapped out the battle ahead. His lead attorney, a sharp-eyed woman named Claire, spoke calmly. "We'll file motions to freeze assets, subpoena bank records, and press for an expedited hearing. This is a marathon, not a sprint." Michael nodded, fingers tapping rhythmically on the table. He felt ready. The reckoning was underway.